Hey everyone, it's Gaz and welcome back to North Section. Have you ever felt that for some reason, and no matter how much you try, you just can't make the ends meet? Even when you really try to? Unfortunately, you are just incapable of sticking to your financial plan. You keep wondering why that is happening. Sometimes you check your bank account and you see a decent amount, and next thing you know, you are back to a big round zero. Well, to some it might look like an illusion, to others it might seem like if the banks are stealing their money. But we can sit around and blame the system or try and analyze the actual issue. And what is the issue? Well, I don't know. But I know one thing for sure, that if you start watching this video, your plan sucked and probably didn't have many positive effects. Considering that you are still watching this video, I would assume that you are looking for some help when saving, so hopefully I will be able to provide it to you. Though I must say that I am not a financial advisor, so whatever I say is only from my own personal experience and what helped me when managing my finances. Just like anyone else, I had financial struggles, but all of that could have been simply fixed with some planning and a little financial knowledge, and the correct mindset as well. Making your financial plan is a necessity and following it is a must. I know when I say it, it might sound easy, but only a few of you will actually achieve it. Not everyone is capable of being frugal and following along with what they decided to do. More often than not, it's just a matter of your mentality and understanding that you need to do what you need to do instead of keeping up with the Joneses. Now, as I already said, it sounds way easier than it is, though hopefully a few tips that I have will help you to sort out your financial struggles. In the recent studies reported, back in 2020, there were 80% of Americans that had some sort of debt. Though we are in 2021, and I wouldn't expect that this number has changed drastically. Although, knowing what I know, I wouldn't say that all of that debt is bad debt. But let's leave this for a different video. I will definitely need a separate video to talk about this topic. I think to most people, debt is a pretty challenging thing to overcome. Most people can't even imagine living their lives without having debt, and others even say that it is a must to have. But debt can surely be avoided or paid off if planned correctly. But when it is not taken seriously and with a plan of an attack, then understandably it is way harder than it actually is. Research has shown that of $14 trillion plus in debt, at first place we find mortgage debt with 9.8 trillion. Then second place with 1.5 trillion in debt we find student loans, and not that far behind from student loans we find auto loans. But you might wonder, where is all the credit card debt in this list? Well, it is just in the fourth place right after auto loans with just 500 billion in credit card debt. Now a lot of you will go like, oh, it's just 500 billion compared to a mortgage and student loans. It is a measly amount, but you forget one very important thing. Interest rates. Not only are interest rates important for the US economy, but they are also very important for you and your own wallet. Interest rates are not the same to everyone and vary depending on what type of debt you have. For instance, as I mentioned before, it could be your mortgage, auto loans. Well, you get the idea. As I already stated, mortgages have the highest debt in the US economy, but interest rates can only be 3%. I see it's only 3% because comparing it to something like student loans that can reach up to 5.3% and car loans that can also go up to 7%, it really doesn't look that bad. But then comes credit card debt that could really ruin your day. I think credit cards are very useful and a must-have financial item, but only when it is used properly. If for some reason you decide to do a stupid thing and get a credit card debt and be late on your payments, well, in that case you found your real trouble. Credit card debt interest rates can reach a whopping 23%. Of course, the interest rates that you pay also depend on the factors like credit card score. Understandably, the higher the credit score, the lower are the interest rates. But nevertheless, credit card debt has the highest interest rates of them all. So I would say if there is one debt that you should try to avoid, knowing that you might be late on your payments, then credit card debt would be the top of your list. So how can you finally get yourself out of debt and how long would it take? This is a bit more complicated question. It really depends on your personal situation, what debts you have, what credit card score, and so on. That is why to some it might take longer to pay it off than to others. But I do think most of you are capable of doing so, and as earlier you start, the better. I would say there are two ways of how you could approach this big bad debt issue that is hovering like a dark cloud above your head. One way would be trying to target the largest debt that you have first, and this is probably the most common one to do. And I see why that is. You think, well, I will pay the largest one off, and that is the easy part, paying off the little debts like car loans and so on. But if your largest debt is most likely mortgage, then you might not be capable of paying it off as quick as possible and most likely get yourself discouraged when trying. This is one of the main things that I don't like about this first variant. What happens is that with time, as you try to pay that mortgage debt that you have, you don't see much progress because it is such a large amount of money, and it will take a lot of time and probably years before you will pay off your mortgage. And you will still have numerous other debts that still are not paid. So now it becomes not only a fight with the debt, but also with yourself, since you know you are putting your work in, but years go by and you are still stuck and covered with debts. Now the second method is the one that I prefer to use. Instead of paying off your largest debt, just pay off the ones that have the highest interest rates. From what we know, that would be probably the credit card debt. Once that is paid off, just carry on and do the same thing with other debts that you have. This way you will get rid of some of them quicker and also feel a little happier of what you finally achieved. Also, I wouldn't rush to pay off your mortgage since you always have a possibility of eventually selling it or even better renting it out and getting some cash flow from it. Make an asset from your home rather than a liability. If you can let yourself rent out a room or even a whole thing, then why wouldn't you? Let your house pay for itself. Student loans are in no rush to pay off as well due to possibility of getting a tax break from them. If you have a chance of getting a tax break, use it. But don't neglect and forget it. I hope this video was a helpful one to put you on the right track to better your financial situation. It might not make you rich, but it sure should help you to figure out what path you might decide to take. When to make up your mind, just do it. Start working on it now. The sooner, the better. Most importantly, make sure you stick to your plan. Sticking to your plan is the hardest part of this whole journey. Make sure you don't waste your money and time on the things you don't need. Put the extra money to work and pay off the other debts or even invest it in yourself. Drop a like, click a bell, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.